Hey, if you're a mom in this place, will you stand up really quick? I just want to honor you guys and say Happy Mother's Day. Can we give it up for all the moms in this room? Come on, we celebrate you guys. We honor you. You really do make the world go round. You make us men better. I believe I speak for all men in this room, and so we're so thankful for you guys, the way you lead and the way that you love. And yeah, you guys can go ahead and have a seat. And so sorry. For some of you, just the fact that you're even here today means that you've already put in some overtime today, because this morning you get up and you play multiple different roles. You're a therapist to your kids, maybe even to your husband, try to help them through something. You're the stylist for your kids. You're the cook. You're the Uber driver, and all of this happens before 9 a.m. and you've got a lot on your plate. And so, but we thank you. You guys serve so well and you love so well, and I'm so thankful for moms in this place. In fact, I was reading this thing that talked about, like, for women, for mothers especially, like if you was to take everything that you do and you gave it a monetary value, you put a number to it, what it's worth, it would be roughly around $140,000 a year. Okay? But I don't have $140,000, Jordan, I'm sorry. And so, but what I do have is I have chips, salsa, and at Casa Mejitos with your name on it, Ranchero's Special, that's her favorite meal. We call it the white girl special. And so, you're not supposed to get that when you go to a Mexican place. But anyways, so I do what I can with what I have. Jordan, she's a great mom, and she actually helps me a lot too as well. And so I'm so thankful for her, and thankful for everything that you do at the house. Oftentimes I'll be at the house and I'm going to take like the garbage out, and I think as a man I'm doing something. And so I will walk out and I'm carrying that garbage and I'm giving myself this pep talk. I'm like, Shawn, you're amazing. And you're doing a great job. Nobody else would do this. She's going to be so proud of you. She's going to love you even more for this. Like, you're doing a great job. And so I'll go and I'll open the door, and my chest is a little poked out, because she likes a strong man. And so I walk in the door, I'm thinking I'm doing something right. But while I was out taking the trash out, because she can do so much, she's already did all the dishes. She's got the kids in a bath. She's made dinner. She's got a load of clothes in the laundry room, and she's just doing a bunch of different things. And so in the time that it takes me to finish one thing. And so I think I'm doing good, but I'm not up to her speed. In fact, there will be times where I'm actually walking around the house, and I might be pacing a little bit. I don't know why I'm a pacer. In fact, I do it up here a little bit. I'm pacing right now. But I'll just pace around the house, and Jordan will ask me, she's like, Shawn, do you need anything to do? I'm like, no, ma'am, I don't need anything to do. I was just thinking about my next destination. I think I'm going to head to the bedroom right now and probably do a load of laundry. But anyways, my gift to you for Mother's Day is I'm going to clean the house when we get home today. And so to honor you. It is already clean. So, but I want to honor you moms in this place, because there's so much that you do that can go unseen. There's so much that you do that maybe you think that goes unnoticed. And I can tell you from a husband's perspective, it does go noticed. Maybe sometimes we're not the best at articulating that and communicating that. And for that, I will continue to try to be better. I'm not going to get it right, though, oftentimes. But there's so much that you do, and I just want you to know that you are seen, that we do see you, and that ultimately God sees you as well, and everything that you're doing, and all the things that you're juggling around, all the things that you have on your plate. And so I just wanted to honor you today. And so this message is very specific to moms in this house, but it also can be for anybody in this room as well. But moms, I just want to honor you because you do so much for us as kids. Like, we're growing up, like, you feed us, you clothe us, you soothe us when we're going through something hard. Maybe when we're not necessarily listening, you spank us sometimes. Okay, I had my fair share of those, but you put up with us. You escorted us to places that we needed to go to. Sometimes you drove us around to places that we needed to go to, and you didn't maybe trust us to go alone, and so you would have to go with us. But also there's moms that, like, you continuously do things even when you're tired, and which is, man, it's an amazing strength that you guys have. And because I think about all the times that, like, Jordan's even at the house and she's cleaning when I know that she's just like exhausted. or she's still washing clothes, or she's washing dishes, but she's still exhausted. She's still doing things for me and for the kids, even when she's exhausted. Some of you moms, like you've got younger kids, you stay up at night and you're maybe worrying about your kids and maybe planning out their future, like what is their future going to look like? Are they going to be okay? Or maybe you just kind of sneak in the room just to get a little peek at their, their face as they're sleeping. It's such a beautiful moment. But there's also nights where I know moms, and we haven't got there yet, but I know that we're going to get there one day, is where you cry through the night a little bit because maybe the path that your child is taking, maybe some decisions that they're making, maybe they were disobedient, maybe they got in trouble, maybe showing disrespect. I want to honor mothers in this place that, maybe you've had to tolerate sassy mouths and talk back because us as kids, maybe we didn't understand the sacrifice that you made as a mom. And for that, I want to apologize for all the kids in this place. In fact, there's a couple I want to point out here on the front row that I know give their parents a hard time. So I'm not going to do that to you guys, but stand up if you feel compelled. And we'll get to that. But today also, I really want to speak to mothers who maybe you're here and you feel unfruitful. Maybe you feel unappreciated. Maybe you feel unknown. Maybe you feel invisible. And so I want to speak to you and just encourage you that there's never been a day that goes by that God does not see you or that God does not hear you. And so, in fact, I want to look at a couple of different women out of the Word where God shows up for them and reminds them that He sees them and that He hears them through everything that they're going through, but they're struggling with things. And so I want to point out some things and kind of how they handle this season where, maybe things aren't going necessarily the way that they would like. How many of you know sometimes things don't go necessarily the way that we would like? But there's a lot of people who, in their current situation, they're looking at it and they don't understand how is my story going to end well. And so I want to look at these women who struggled with this very issue, and their stories were not going the way that they had hoped, but God is the author of their story. He has the final say in their story, and we're going to get to see that. But also for you, God has the final say in your story as well. And so He is doing something beautiful with you. And so if you want to take down notes today, the first thing is that He hears you. He hears you. And I want to talk about Hannah, who we see in 1 Samuel. She's a strong woman of God. She's a godly woman, a church-going woman. But she also had an enemy. And the enemy is kind of odd here because of why she's an enemy and what she does to Hannah. It's this woman named Peninnah, who is her rival. And what she would do is she would provoke Hannah. She would irritate Hannah. She'd make fun of Hannah because Hannah could not have children. And that's just hard to navigate in itself. But the fact that anybody would make fun of that or irritate you or push buttons that's another level, and it's not okay. And so, but this is what Hannah's dealing with. We've actually had people who call this place home who have struggled with having children, and I understand the weight that they're carrying and how hard those seasons are. Some that have prayed for years for something to happen. Now, I can tell you there's actually one couple that I know, I think they prayed for 10 years trying to have kids. And because of modern medicine and science, they're actually able to have kids. And ironically, now they have 3 of them. And so the Lord has really blessed them. And so, but we've had women who have had these struggles, and we know how gut-wrenching it can be and how painful this can be. And you'd do anything to have a child. And so this is what Hannah's navigating and struggling with, but this person is kind of irritating her and making fun of her. And speaking of trying to have children, I was talking to a guy who was telling this story about how 2 people went into the doctor's office and they were trying to have kids. And the doctor tells the husband, he said, listen, if you want to have kids, you probably need to stop drinking so much. And so he goes back, he tells his friend, and as he's telling his friend is like, honestly, that's kind of odd advice, because when I was in high school, any pregnancy I ever heard of had something to do with alcohol. So that was for the men in the room, but okay. Anyways, Hannah was desperate. Not all of my jokes land. Some of them are really bad. Some of them work. Okay, I'm sorry. It's feast and famine sometimes. But Hannah, she's desperate to get pregnant, and it weighed on her. And her husband was there for her. So listen, men are for you, and I want to show you this and how he comforts her. And then you tell me if anything has changed through the years. 1 Samuel 1:8, her husband Elkanah would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? He says, don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? And so redneck translation, for those of you that didn't get it, he's saying that you should roll over in the middle of the night, look at me, and be thankful for what you got. Okay, I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you. Okay, that was another one that didn't land. I'm just going to take all of these out. So I'm trying to get the men in the room because I understand, listen, it is Mother's Day. And I walked around earlier and I was talking to some guys and I was like, listen, there's a lot of estrogen in the house today. And so I'm so sorry. And so Father's Day is coming up. We're going to have bacon in that lobby. Praise God. We're going to have eggs. We're going to have, I think there's VBS is happening that next week. And so it's going to look medieval in here. Actually, it's probably not the right word to say. It's going to be, we're talking about the armor of God. So there's going to be armor. It's going to be fantastic. Man, it's going to be awesome. Anyways, back to you women. Because got a lot to say. This is so bad. You know, we tried to record first service, and something happened that was like not okay. At this point, we might have to. So something happened. We were like, we can't do that. So we'll record second service, but I'm really crashing this one too. So, but years of Hannah, her heart is broken. But through all of this brokenness and the thing that she's navigating, I want you to notice what it does to her. It molds her into this praying mom. And how many of you are thankful for a praying mom? Some of you have that. Yes, absolutely. That's a great place to clap. Come on. We can clap. Come on. It's all right. It's all right. We're in the house of the Lord. It's okay. So, but thankful for praying mamas. And I thank God for moms who know how to pray and mamas who have a strong faith. It's so important. But I want you to look at how she prayed. 1 Samuel 1, starting in verse 10. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed. And so I want you to watch the emotion here. It goes on to say she's weeping bitterly. And so Hannah, in this space, she's been made fun of relentlessly year after year. But also, as she was praying, there's a moment that happens when the priest Eli comes to her and he accuses her of being drunk in church just because of the way that she was acting. And she responds to him essentially by saying, like, I'm not, like, that's not what's happening. I'm praying. But that was odd for him to see. And so she's someone who is dealing with people making fun of her, but then she's also having to navigate being falsely accused. And so verse 15, she tells Eli, she says, I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. And this is the thing that I want us to grab. No matter what your season looks like in this room, no matter what it is that you're going through, what Hannah did, she chose to turn her eyes to Jesus, fix her eyes on him, and to pray. But notice that she doesn't pray like the prayer that's just this recited, like it's routine, it's mundane, it's the same thing every day. She prays. It says that she with deep anguish, Hannah prayed. She was pouring out her soul to the Lord. She's praying from the bottom of her heart. And the Bible says that even at one moment she was praying without even making a sound. And so I want to give you some advice. It's okay to have a prayer where you're saying, God, I need you, and I'm hurting right now, but I don't even know what to say next. I don't even know how to articulate the things that I'm navigating right now emotionally, spiritually. God, I don't know what to even say or how to even communicate it. God, I just need you. Listen, God loves those prayers because those prayers often come from a deep place in your soul, in your heart where you're connecting with him. It's okay to have a heart without many words. Just don't have many words without a heart. That can be a dangerous thing when maybe we're praying the same thing all the time, but maybe you're not connected to the Lord emotionally. Maybe you're disconnected emotionally. He'd rather you say, God, I need you, than you spend 15 minutes in prayer disconnected emotionally. But I want you to notice with Hannah, this is the way she's praying. She's pouring out her heart to the Lord. There's heart, there's passion, there's intensity behind all of this praying that she's doing as she's navigating something that is very difficult, something that is very hard. Verse 12 says, as she kept on praying to the Lord, notice she does not even give up. And so she prays. It says that she prays with her whole heart. And then it says that she keeps on praying. She was very persistent in what she was even praying about, but she would not give up. She prayed with tenacity. She prayed persistently, and she was faithful to prayer. And then also what ends up happening as she's praying, as she's continuing to connect her heart and her soul to the Father, ultimately what ends up happening is she starts to pray and lands on the will of God in her prayers. And so for a long time, she's praying and praying and praying. She's like, God, I want a son. God, I want a son. God, I want a son. When God's essentially whispering, I want a prophet. And so she has this moment where she tells the Lord, she's like, if you would just give me a son, I would devote him to you. He would be yours forever. She goes on to have a son. But so many times as we're praying, as we're going through something difficult, something hard, we may give up right before God is able to answer that prayer. He just wants us to keep praying. Hannah did not pray, and it changed history. The second thing is that God sees you. God sees you. Genesis 16, 7 through 14. I want to talk about Hagar here. The angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert, and it was a spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from and where are you going? She says, I'm running away from my mistress, Sarah, she answered. And then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. And the angel added, I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. The angel of the Lord also said to her, you are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone and everyone's hand against him. And he will live in hostility toward all his brothers, which is not very encouraging now that I'm really reading that. Probably could have left verse 12 out. But verse 13, she gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her, because this is what's most important, is as she's praying, as she's hurting in the midst of all of this, she gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. And that is why the well was called Bir Laharoi, and it is still there between Kadesh and Bered. So Hagar, this is where I want to really lean in. Hagar, she was Abraham and Sarah's slave from Egypt, and Abraham and Sarah could not get pregnant. And so ultimately what ended up happening was Abraham had then had a child with Hagar, and then Sarah was all for it at first, but then gets very jealous and envious because she was not able to because of her old age, all these different things. And so what Sarah started to do was abuse her. Started to abuse Hagar. And then this is a thing, like, you know, when you read a story like this is the story that you don't really like put out there. Like, this is one of those family stories that really you would put back in like a secret family vault, right? Like, nobody knows about this. Everybody has that uncle that we don't talk about because they're embarrassing or whatever. Like, this is the family secret vault that we put something in. But that's not what happens here. This story, it doesn't make Abraham look good. It doesn't make Sarah look good. But the Bible is shockingly honest and doesn't try to hide the mess here. And so Hagar, she's treated so bad that she runs away and she leaves Abraham and Sarah and she starts heading back to Egypt. And so in this season, she's a pregnant woman. She's all by herself. She's in the desert, which is not a great plan. And then she stops at a well to rest, and that's where God meets her. It says the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. And this is the first time in Scripture that we actually see the angel of the Lord, and most theologians actually believe that this was Jesus. And so if you think about that for a second, this is the first time that Jesus arrives on the scene to visit somebody. And the person he arrives to speak to is a pregnant Egyptian runaway slave. Somebody who is not important to anybody else. Somebody that everybody wants to forget about. They're just not important, but to him, she is. In verse 8, he said, Hagar, slave of Sarah, where have you come from and where are you going? So he doesn't just show up. He shows up and he calls her by his name. Again, everyone else wants to forget about her. Abraham wants to forget about her. She probably wants to forget about herself. But Jesus, he calls her by her name. It says the angel of the Lord also said to her, you are now pregnant and you will give birth to a son, for the Lord has heard of your misery. And so it's interesting that God does not say, I've heard your prayers. You pray so well that I just had to respond. No, he heard her misery because he was right there with her. And actually, when you go and you look at the English translation, it got it really close, because in the English translation, it says that the Lord heard your miseries, but there's the word of is not there. And so it's not like Jesus is like hearing about her misery from afar. It's like he's just watching the news and something happens. He knows that she's going through something. No, it says that he heard her misery. He doesn't hear about it. He was right there. He heard it firsthand. He was always right there with her in the moment. And a lot of times we're going through things and we sometimes wonder, God, where are you? God, this season, it hurts right now. Whatever it is that you may be navigating, it may have nothing to do with this, but maybe today is a day of pain for you because maybe you've lost a mom, or maybe you have not had the greatest relationship with a mom and you've always wanted that. To be quite honest with you, that's my story. My mom was great, and I did not appreciate the sacrifice that she made as a mom. She's a single mother. We had 3 kids. But sometimes I look back and I wished I would have had a better relationship with my mom. I still wish I had a better relationship with my mom today. It's just been hard. But oftentimes we're in these seasons, we're in these spaces, and we're wondering, God, where are you? Do you even notice me? Do you know that I'm hurting right now? Do you know that I'm navigating pain? Do you know what's weighing heavy on me in my life right now? And we wonder, God, where are you? He's always there. He's always been there, which had me thinking, and always looking for a reason to show off my kids. Will you go to this first picture? And I want to illustrate it this way. Beautiful, right? Everly would hate me. She's obviously younger in this photo. She's about to be 5 next month. But this is my daughter, Everly. And so this was her first flight. We were flying from Little Rock to Dallas, and she was scared. And it was hard for her. And so she screamed the whole way. This is also, if you notice, Jordan's got her mask on, 2020, right? We all remember that. Just a hard season in general. And but anyways, Everly was like, this was pretty much her face the whole time. Scared, nervous. She didn't have to tell me. I knew that that's what she was feeling. And I'm going to be able to look back on this moment. I was there with her in that moment. I knew this pain. Sometimes I wonder, though, like, are my kids going to grow up? And she may not remember this, but, other things that happened in their childhoods, are they going to remember that we as parents were there for them in those moments? Or are they going to think, well, you weren't there that moment, I was all by myself? I sometimes wonder that. But this is her. All right, next photo. Is my wife, my beautiful wife, yes. And it's a great place to get praise. But anyways, so Jordan, I took a picture of her. We got to go on a family trip about a month ago to Branson. And in this photo, she doesn't have to tell me what she's thinking, what's on her mind, what's on her heart. I was the one taking the photo. She's looking at me. She doesn't have to say a word. I know that she's thinking, I love this hunk of a man of mine. It's all over her face. I know that. I'm there with her in that moment. She didn't have to say a word. I knew exactly what was on her mind. And so, yes, you're welcome. Praise God for that, Jordan. All right, next one. This is my son. We got him a toy Jeep for Christmas. And that was the moment he realized he would never do that again. And so that moment, though, he was so, they were excited at first about these, and so excited to run outside right after we got done opening gifts. They went out there, they're driving their vehicles, and he went straight. That was the first time he got on it. He got on it, and he just drove right up the tree. And I was so thankful I got to capture that moment. And but so I'm going to love that. But I just wonder about the pain that might have been in his eyes, thinking he was all alone right there. But Dad was there. I was there. And then now this is him. Next one. Full confidence. Come on. He just started doing this 3 weeks ago. He's like, I can do this now. I'm ready. And I don't know what song is in his head, in his heart, but it's a bop. That's for sure. It is a bop. And but here's my point in showing those. One, because I take a lot of photos and videos, and I don't do anything with them, and so this is me doing something with them. But I was right there in every one of those moments. And so I know what they're experiencing. I can see when he's hurting. I can see when Everly was hurting. I'm right there. And listen, Jesus may not be this physical being that is standing right in front of you, but I promise you, his Spirit is with you. He is with you in every single thing that you're going through. So you may be hurting. He's right there with you. You just got to call out to him. And you would become more aware of his presence around you. But he wants you, just like Hannah, to pour out your heart to him, to keep praying, pray fervently, pray persistently, connect your heart, your soul, your spirit to him. That's what he wants. He's always been there. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves and we need to connect to him. But I want you to know that just like in these moments, God's going to be able to look back at a photo, like he looks back at it and thinking about every moment of your life saying, I was there. I was there when you were celebrating that thing. I was there when you were navigating that failure in your life and you felt like you were all alone and maybe even abandoned. I was there in that moment as well. Every tear that you've cried, when you thought that no one else was around, God is there. He sees it. He hears it. The Lord has heard your misery. And if this is you here today, this is one of my favorite verses for this, because I've had many seasons where I needed the Lord to comfort me because I was navigating something hard and I was unsure about what to do with it, or unsure that, man, am I really navigating this by myself? To be transparent with you, there are times I'm not necessarily an anxious person, but I am an introvert. Okay, and so sometimes I will step into environments or into different things, and sometimes even this, for me, if I'm going to be fully transparent with you this morning, even sometimes being here on a Sunday morning can create anxiety within me. And it's just because I'm not this is not my thing. For whatever reason, God called me to it. And so I say yes, and I just move. But there's a lot of times where I'll deal with anxiety. And what anxiety can do to you is it isolates you and it makes you think that, hey, I'm doing this by myself. And then sometimes I'll even feel like, well, I'm going to have a face for people. They need to see a smile. They don't need to see that I'm navigating or going through anything. Because I'm supposed to be a pastor. I'm supposed to be a leader. And so what that does is it creates more anxiety sometimes. Just being real and honest with you. I don't know why I'm even saying this. I didn't say it in first service, but I don't know. But this verse is one where the Lord uses to really help and walk with me through it. And it's Psalm 34:18. And I've had seasons also where just crushed by different things. Maybe not anxiety, but some of you it may be anxiety. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he rescues those whose spirits are crushed. He's close to you. In this moment, when you walk out these doors, he's close to you. He's with you. He always is. He never leaves you. He never forsakes you. Sometimes we forget that he is, and a lot of times it's because we've moved away from him. I've heard this many times that people, if you feel like God's far away from you, he never moved. He's still sitting in the same spot, but maybe we've turned from him. And if that's the case, that's something that you're going to have to wrestle with. But he does not move. He is close to you. If you're brokenhearted this morning, he is close to you. He rescues those whose spirits are crushed. And for Hagar, this was so impactful to her. So impactful to her that she actually gives him the name El Roi, which means the God who sees me. And what's interesting about that is it's the only time in Scripture where God has a name that he didn't give himself, that somebody else gave it to him. I think that's very interesting. And so, but you may be in this room and you may feel the same way that she felt. You may feel like an outsider. You may feel like a mistake in someone else's story. Maybe I know that we have people here who are adopted, and I understand that that can be a very difficult thing to navigate in your life. Listen, you're not a blemish in somebody else's story. You are a part of God's plan. And somebody here needed to hear that. But you may feel the way she felt. You're not a mistake, and God sees you right where you are. Last thing, number 3, he feels what you feel. Mary and Martha, Jesus, he loved Mary and Martha, and proof of it is just prior to his triumphant entry as he's about to go to the cross. He has this moment just days before he would go to give his life for us. And he goes and he really spends his last peaceful, relaxing night with Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And but not long before that, we know that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, right? But before that, there was a moment when Lazarus was still living, and it's this most powerful and emotional moment in all the Word, but it also comes from the shortest verse in all the Word too. You may be familiar with it. And to give you a little bit of context, I want to read all of John 11, verse 32 through 35. It says, when Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, and she said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. He says, where have you laid him? He asked. And then they said, come and see, Lord. And then he replied with the shortest verse in all the Word, Jesus wept. What I want you to grab there and notice is that Jesus wept. You have to know that we serve a God who is not only a Savior, but he is a God who sees you, he hears you, but he's also a God who feels exactly what you may be going through. He feels your pain. When you are weeping, he is weeping. When you are hurting, he is hurting. He walked on this earth. He's experienced every emotion that you and I could possibly think. He understands your feelings, and he is moved when you are moved. I love Hebrews 4:15 because it reminds us that we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, somebody who is unable to feel the things that we may be feeling, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet he did not sin. What you have to know is that he cares for you. He cares for you. No matter what your story looks like, no matter what your situation looks like, no matter if Mother's Day is a day of celebration for you, or if this is a day of hurt, he cares for you. Maybe you don't have a good relationship with your mom and you're in the same camp as me. That can hurt. But you have to know that God is still doing something. He can mend that relationship. He can do powerful and incredible things with the things that we would just surrender to him. He can do incredible things with that. Maybe you have an absent mom, or maybe you're here and maybe you've lost your mom. That's hard, and I completely understand that. And like Audrey said, we will absolutely be spending time this week praying for you. In fact, my pastors, Pastor Rick and Pastor Harry Bates, both of them just lost their moms this year. And so this is their first Mother's Day without their mom. And as we were working on the messages this week, I thought about the things that they have to be navigating too. And so I understand the pain. But you have to know that Jesus, he feels your grief. He feels your loss. He feels your pain. He sees you. He hears you. And he also feels what you feel. Now, I know sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around. It's hard to wrap your mind around it, your heart around it. But listen, if you would just spend some time with him, you would start to sense his presence. It would become so real and tangible to you. And that's all he wants. He just wants you to know that he is with you in this very moment.